The biggest resources I want you guys to know you have from the city are me. I'm available by phone or email pretty much any time. I know that most of us are working around the clock, so I'm available most times of the day, and you should be checking our city website and these two links for information as more information becomes available. This is my disclosure form. I just put it saying that I am not the professional to determine the best course of action for each individual business. So I would suggest that everything you do, you run it through your lawyer and your tax professionals to make sure that it is the best decision for your business. I know that for some small businesses, that's not always the easiest thing to do. So the SBDC is a great opportunity and a great partner that you can turn to determine what exactly the best course of action is for your business. This is a brief timeline on the COVID-19 situation. On March 12th, it's been almost 2 months now, we declared a state of emergency in Los Altos. And then recently on May 3rd, the county did extend the shelter in place order through the end of May. So that current order will be good until then. I did want to clarify something for the business community. I had received quite a few questions from people trying to understand what happens when there's two different orders that have different restrictions. So when the county and state differ on what exactly is allowed, the most stringent requirement is the one that supersedes. So the City of Los Altos will enforce whatever is the most strict requirement out of the county or the state order. The county actually had a press release yesterday evening where they outlined specifically for retail businesses, letting them know that the Bay Area order does not allow permitted curbside pickup for retail businesses starting today, even though the state did outline that this would be okay. So for all retail businesses on the line, I apologize if there's any confusion, especially with the differing orders, but hopefully this press release from the county provides a little bit of clarification on that. For those of you who don't know, the shelter-in-place order directive means you must stay at home and can only leave your home for essential activities to work for an essential business as defined by the most strict order, to perform minimum basic operations for your employer, which can be non-essential businesses, or for essential travel. And the biggest key is that the county is encouraging everyone to wear masks. So please remember that if you are leaving your house and you are going to the office or out to the store, please consider wearing a mask at the county's direction. This is the essential business definition from the last order. It's really important that all essential businesses, I believe that most of them have already implemented their social distancing protocol. There is a link in this PowerPoint if you have any questions about that. So for non-essential businesses, that means that you can do your minimum basic operations of business, but you are able to deliver existing inventory to residents and businesses. So whatever inventory you currently have in your retail business, you are able to deliver to customers. You just cannot have them come to your store to pick them up at the door in a curbside pickup. And in the latest County of Santa Clara order, there were some big adjustments. The bigger ones were that construction was allowed to resume as long as they followed safety protocols. All real estate transactions are allowed to go through, and child care is allowed for the children of essential employees with groups up to 12. There are a lot of restrictions around child care, so I would direct you to this county's website for more information on that. And for the positive for Los Altos is during my last webinar, there were a lot of questions about landscaping. The county did clarify that landscaping in outdoor businesses such as nurseries and agriculture is allowed, and they are allowed to resume effective May 4th. And then all parks should be open, assuming that they are able to be safely utilized. However, restrooms will remain to be closed at those parks. The enforcement of the order. The the one thing that I do want to reiterate is that the Los Altos Police Department will first educate violating businesses before issuing any citations. The biggest key is that the Los Altos Police Department wants people to make sure that they are following the order, but that they are making sure that they are educating the community. So if you are a business and you are confused, please feel free to reach out to the police department, or more directly, you can reach out to the county through this email or this phone number. They're more than happy to return your call or your email to answer questions from businesses that aren't sure about what they are allowed to do under the current order. So please reach out to them if you have more questions about what exactly the order specifically entails. For all of our businesses, this is some more advice from the police department. Make sure that you are taking valuables out of closed stores and you are locking up iPads overnight. It is important that businesses remain safely secured, especially a lot of their equipment overnight, because we are seeing that businesses need to make sure they are protected from anyone who might wish them harm. The biggest key is to make sure that you do install security cameras if you are able, because that will be able to make it easier if there are any issues. And you can sign up through this link for the Business Watch program through our police department, which allows the Los Altos community to receive updates from the police department on business-related activities. I'm going to go a little bit quicker here, but the Families First Coronavirus Response Act is effective April 1st through December 31st, 2020, and it does allow employees and employers more latitude when granting paid sick leave or family and medical leave for issues related to COVID-19. If you have any questions, I would direct you to the bill's language. It is very clear, but the Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division will be the ones that are enforcing this. So if you are an employee or an employer who's not sure exactly how this will affect your business, you can feel free to direct questions to them and they will answer it for you. So what is the City of Los Altos doing for the community? For the community, we are doing a number of community morale campaigns. We are posting banners throughout our town, in downtown and in front of Chef Chu's at the corner of San Antonio and El Camino. And we are updating our website and social media on a daily basis to make sure that we have the most current information out for the community. Next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. will be the next virtual town hall with our mayor and city manager. So if you have any questions for our city leadership, that would be the best time to hop on this similar webinar and be able to ask them questions. And I urge you all to sign up for the weekly city manager updates, where we do put the most recent updates from the city about what's going on that go out every Friday. Oh, we don't need to watch the 15-minute video. I'll touch on our City of Los Altos hotlines. We do have the Community Connection, which is available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The number is right there. And the Senior Connection, which is available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. If anyone has any questions, you can feel free to give them a call and they'll be glad to support you if you have any questions for the city and you don't know where to go. For the City of Los Altos, regarding small businesses, we are the economic development team of one. It is me, Anthony Carneseca. I am connecting directly with the Chamber, Lava, La Pod, and the Town Crier on a regular basis to make sure that I provide the business community with the most accurate information, as well as working individually with business owners and employees. If you have a question, I want to reiterate that you can reach out to me at any time, and I'm always happy to work with you directly. We are updating our website, and we are doing webinars on a regular basis, such as this one. And then finally, the City Council of Los Altos did approve an allocation of $250,000 to a small business relief fund. I am currently working with Chris Jordan as well as some other community stakeholders to make sure that we have a good program in place before presenting it back to council for final approval before those funds will be distributed. So if you do have questions about that, you can feel free to reach out to me directly. What'sOpenLosAltos.org was a collaborative effort of the Chamber of Commerce, La Pod, Lava, and the city to provide information on how residents can support restaurants and retail businesses through this crisis. So if you are a retail or a restaurant business and you don't see your business on there, please contact me and let me know how we can make sure that we have your GoFundMe page on there or your online website for more information. For restaurants on the line, the Great Plates Delivered program was approved on April 24th from Governor Gavin Newsom. The goal was to pair restaurants with vulnerable populations such as the senior community. As of right now, the County of Santa Clara did give program management responsibility to the World Central Kitchen in the city of San Jose. I will share the link to apply in the chat. If you are interested and you are a restaurant, they are strict about what the food processes look like and what types of food will be approved for reimbursement. But it is a great opportunity for restaurants that are struggling through this time to be able to provide food to the senior community that will be reimbursed by some federal agencies. I'm going to go a little fast through the financial resources because Dennis and Kevin will probably do a better job explaining them than I could. But the SBA does have two big programs, which is the Economic Disaster Injury Loan and the Paycheck Protection Program. I was informed right before the webinar that those have changed a little bit in their requirements, so I'll let them go into the specifics on that. If the federal program is not the best option for you, the state does have the iBank loan program through the governor's office. It's a $2.5 million loan for 7 years. It is managed at a local level, and you must call this number for more information. On the local resources side, there are quite a few grants that are currently available from Facebook and Salesforce. For Facebook's grant, I do know that a significant portion of that grant, I believe $2,500, is only in advertisements through their website. So it's only $1,500 in cash that would come to the small business. But it is a great program if you think that it is the best option for you. And then the Silicon Valley Community Foundation does have the Small Business Relief Fund. It does sound like rather than a grant for Santa Clara County businesses not in San Jose, it's going to be a loan. So if you do have more information about that, it is being administered by the Opportunity Fund at the website listed right there. The one thing I want to reiterate is be aware of loan scams. If you do feel that you are the target of a loan scam, don't be afraid to call whatever agency is in charge of distributing that funds and asking for clarification before providing any personal information to anyone who calls or emails you. I know Kevin and Dennis can probably provide a little more information on how to be aware and make sure that you keep yourself and your business safe. These are some links from the county. The last one there is a link to the Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center, which our wonderful partners have provided to us. So please make sure that if you do have questions for them and you weren't able to ask it during the webinar, you can go to svsbdc.org for more information. This is my information once again. I want to thank you all for being here, and I'm going to pass it over to Dennis and Kevin to take over.
Thank you, Anthony. There's been a lot of discussion on the two major loans that are coming from the federal government. A number of them are certainly hoping that most of your businesses have already applied, but we're also getting the word that there are many that are still debating that. So we should at least give a thumbnail description. The word that we've been hearing right now is that the PPP program, that is the Payroll Protection Program, is still alive and well. As of yesterday, we understand about 60% of the revenues that the federal government has allocated for the program have already been spoken for, but there's about 40% that's still available, that's still in progress. So it's something at least for serious consideration if people have not yet taken advantage of that. These funds come from the financial institutions, both traditional banks, credit unions, and some non-banking institutions that are stepping into the game now. The basic idea, again, is to encourage employees of small businesses to stay on the job and not get support from EDD. The basic idea is to try to keep the sales force in place. The average uh, uh, loan that's available or grant that's available is based on an average of a month's payroll times 2.5. A portion of that is aimed to be forgiven. In fact, up to 100% can be forgiven, depending on the use of the funds. Now, the reality that we're dealing with, and Kevin can speak to it in terms of number of restaurants, is that it's been particularly difficult in our county to be able to use 100% when there's still shelter-in-place orders for employees to stay home, and yet they're supposed to be on the job simultaneously in order to for the small businesses to be able to get these programs. So that's a individual decision in terms of where to draw the line on that, and we could speak a little bit more to that later on. But basically, that portion that is not forgiven essentially becomes a 1% loan for 2 years. The first 6 months, there'll be no payments expected. The other loan, the IDLE loan, has gotten a great deal of attention, and that's up to $2 million. It's a 3.5 or 3.75% loan spread out over 30 years. There is an advance possible. It's up to $10,000 based on $1,000 per employee, and that no payments are expected on that for 11 months. The challenge that we have is that the first round funding has been used up. The second round funding is basically being used by the first round applicants. So currently, this program managed by the SBA is not taking applicants because they're still processing the first round. Now, when they open, if they open with this round of funding, is anybody's guess. So we're monitoring that on a day-by-day basis. But we can certainly spend some more time discussing each of those later on. Anthony, there we go. So the basic idea of where we're coming from, the SBDC is a Small Business Development Center. It's the largest federal program under SBA to help businesses get access to information and resources to start and grow their businesses. Our services are free. The core of our programs are to help people get access to capital, not only through SBA loans, but other resources as well. But it is important to keep in mind that our resources are geared to help you succeed in business. Anthony? Our mantra, our message is that we provide access to information and resources to help you sustain and grow your business. We do that in a variety of ways. Our most important way is through our advisors. We have approximately 40 business advisors. While this is a nationwide program and we keep in close contact with SBDCs in Northern California, our focus is exclusively Santa Clara County. We have about 40 business advisors. You may recognize some of those folks. They tend to be very active in the communities throughout Santa Clara County. Most of them have their own businesses, and so we greatly value their business experience and their passion for serving the community. And obviously, in reflecting Santa Clara County and the diversity, our business advisors speak English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Mandarin, Portuguese, and other languages. Basic idea that we're saying is that we do provide a wide variety of services, but access to capital has been one of our driving forces. We do work with a number of financial institutions, banks, credit unions, alternative lenders, but it's important to keep in mind that when we work with them, we're really on the side of the small business. And whether it's walking through the economic disaster loans and the payroll protection plans or other services, we also do a lot of loan packaging for traditional loans as well. Anthony? So what we ask, particularly now that the programs are getting close to winding up this program, now more than ever, we should be talking about this specific strategy in your particular circumstances. And so what we encourage you to do is come to our website, which I think Anthony will identify next. Apply for our services. We should get to you within a working day to be able to have a conversation about your particular set of circumstances. And then go over some options for you to make your choice about what is best for you. Next, Anthony. So what the basic message that we'd like to be able to share is that we're on your side. We're here for you. So please let us know how we can connect. We have a number of business advisors, and in terms of two very distinguished ones with us right now, so that we can try to answer some questions. I should take one step backwards a bit. You know, we were talking about the IDLE loans. Certainly, Anthony, you brought up a point too about being careful about scams. We've been hearing more and more about that. A number of false websites have been created. I've been saying beware of false idols, because that is a trap for devolving information that is really private. There are some areas that you need to be careful about. Certainly, if you get called and somebody is looking for some kind of a payment or access to your credit cards so that they can get you in the front of the line, please be careful. That's an immediate red flag. We don't ask for money. SBA doesn't ask for money. Anybody that's involved in the system, they don't ask for money. So anybody who starts asking you for money, you know, that is not the direction that you should go. We should also say that there are loans around or resources around those loans. So for example, if you have an existing 7A or 504 loan, you should know that your payments should be deferred. That should have been automatic. If you're continuing to make payments on your 7A loans, get back to your lender because you can postpone those at least for the next half a year. If you're going after a new 7A loan, the federal government will be able to pay your interest and your premium for 6 months. So there are additional programs that's out there. So again, all the more reason for us to have a conversation with you when you get a chance. Anthony, I think if we want to open up for questions or comments, that might be good to deal with specific.
Kevin,
Yeah, I want to give just a real quick presentation and breakdown and dovetail on the back of one of the things that Dennis just said, that by being on this webinar, it's clear that, you know, you as a business owner understand that it's partnerships like the City of Los Altos, along with the local Chamber of Commerce, the business organizations, the Small Business Development Center, and the SBA, you know, that are trying to bring you the information that you need. And I think the fact that you're looking at these sources is going to be very helpful in avoiding the different scams and the different things that are available. But more importantly, it's just such a changing landscape. And one of the things that happened yesterday was that the $2 million for the IDLE loan got nerfed down to 150, and that was one thing that Anthony was alluding to earlier. And so it just seems like every day or every week, you know, Dennis said that, you know, that currently the IDLE loans are not available, but the PPP are. You know, 2 weeks ago it was just the opposite. So it is a changing landscape, and being able to go to the people that will have the answers and the updated information to help you do that. I mean, this is a time of uncertainty. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of upset. I mean, we're facing things that we've never faced before as business owners. And so it really is important that you have resources where you know you're going to be getting accurate information, timely information, and don't have to try to figure out who's telling you the truth or who's actually going to try to lead you down the wrong path. So that's the first thing, and I think it's really important. And so very happy that you're all attending here today. The next thing is that there are a couple points that Dennis brought up, the access to capital, and that is super important. But we all know that going forward that things are going to be different. And operationally, how we handle our employees, how we handle our customers, how we receive our inventory, how we do our ordering, everything is going to change. And so a lot of things that, you know, a lot of people are focusing a lot right now on the access to capital, and that's super important. And if you haven't applied for whatever you can, I think that you should. But after you get to that point, it's very important that you quickly get to the next step of thinking, you know, is the PPP loan for you? You know, and if you're looking for it as a grant, being able to evaluate, are you going to qualify for the grant money, or is it just going to be that 1% loan for 2 years? And maybe the IDLE is a better loan for you. So really figuring out which capital is the best for you to access for your business is super important. But then the next phase is really coming up with a strategy to reopen your business. And one of the things that Dennis mentioned is that my expertise in the Valley is with restaurants. I've operated the local TGI Fridays as we downsized from a huge worldwide company to the 4 Bay Area locations. And so I know what it means to do more with less. And I try to bring that to the different restaurants in our area. And there's a lot of things that are going to change. And being able to figure out how to pivot your business and figure out what products and services and how operationally you're going to change. A lot of owners are trying to get employees back, and we're hearing that employees don't want to come back because they're making more money on unemployment. And how do you handle that? And I think that being able to have those conversations and those discussions is really important, because we all need people to make this work for us. We need our team, and being able to connect our team back to the business and connect the team back to the message, and to train the team on the new process of how they're going to be handling everything from social distancing inside, handling the food differently, and handling just themselves as they come in and out of the business is going to be super important. And so one of the things that we're trying to do at the Small Business Development Center is focus that dialogue and those best practices to help you get reopened under these new circumstances. A lot of people also need to rethink their menus. A lot of the, knowing what your stars on your menu are super important. Everybody's got a lot of dogs, being able to evaluate that. And then also being able to understand that a portion of your business is going to be to go. And it's going to be a large portion of your business if you're going to be successful. And so how do you tailor your menu, or how do you make pivots to your menu to be able to meet that need and to be able to serve that same themed quality food that you have, but be able to do it at a way that travels well to people's homes and delivers value. So those are things that are real important. As we go through and start opening up Q&A, I think that it's important that we do talk about a couple of things. The first one is that everybody's got individual circumstances. And as Dennis mentioned, the best way to have your specific circumstances reviewed is by signing up for the free-to-use services for the Small Business Development Center and having a phone call. Sometimes these things can be, these questions can be answered in a single phone call. Sometimes we develop a relationship and we start working through the process and the problems over time. It really is up to you as the business owner how we can help you and what kind of help that we can provide for you. But the whole goal is to get you back in business, to get you resources and information that you need, and then to help you get going. That was really all that I wanted to say, and I definitely think we can open it up to questions at this point, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for your presentation. Ali Lopez is also on the phone from SBDC. I know Dennis mentioned it, but I want to make sure she gets the credit. She will be joining us for the Q&A here. So Trevor, if anyone has any questions, please send them in the chat and Trevor will start reading them out for us.
Perfect. Yeah. So my name is Trevor Marston. I'm the Management Analyst Fellow for the City of Los Altos. If you have a question, put it at the very bottom of your screen. You'll see a Q&A. Open that up and type it in, and that's where we'll be reading the questions from. There's just too many difficulties of trying to have residents say it out loud, and it really delays and it prevents us from getting to all the questions. So first question, we're wondering if the retail stores on Main Street qualify for the lift on the quote clothing/retail lift that was released.
Okay, I will go ahead and go back to that slide to make sure everybody sees it. This is directly from the county's press release that the Bay Area orders do not currently permit curbside pickup from non-essential, non-outdoor businesses, and that is not allowed to begin on Friday, May 8th. So just to reiterate that retailers are not able to begin curbside pickup starting today because of the county's order being more strict than the state order.
How many people are on?
I believe we have about 30 some attendees right now.
What's the business, or what are the business's liabilities once they're able to open?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind speaking to that. And that has come up quite a bit, and I really appreciate that question, because the answer is it's kind of uncertain. But that's where, when we talk about having a plan for your new operational business. I think that that's what's going to be what helps with that liability. If you can demonstrate that you've come up with a plan that's going to meet the guidelines of being a safe business and that you've done the right thing, there's only so much that an individual can do. But that liability piece is huge, and it is one that we're getting ongoing answers because the one thing we do know, and Anthony covered it, is that, if you have an employee and they are sick, it's pretty clear, they don't come to work, but there's other things that are involved in that as well. What do you do with the rest of your staff? What do you do with the other people that may have been exposed? And so being able to come up with a plan, a real specific written plan on how you're going to operate your business differently than you have in the past in order to impact that is going to have a big, it is going to have an impact on the liability. What it's ultimately going to be, we don't know. I mean, we know we live in a litigious society and people sue people, and it's going to be hard to say what people are going to sue people for and what people are going to be allowed to win on that lawsuit. But I think that the best defense is to have that solid plan.
Is there an iBank expert on hand? When I go to the iBank website, there are regional contacts, but I don't see a point of contact for our region.
So there aren't any on the line because it is, let me go ahead and get to that slide. There we go. It is managed at the local level for us by NorCal Financial Development Corporation. I went to their website and I poked around to try and find an email, anything about exactly who they were, and the only thing I could really find was a phone number to call them at. So I don't know if Kevin has any more information on the iBank loan here.
Well, yeah, it's there. We've had the same issue of is there someone we can talk to? Theoretically they are open and they do have loans available, but how to apply? They have started trickling out information as to what banks they're partnering with as far as the lending. So we have some of that information, and we can actually get that posted in the notes. But as far as how to interact with them, yeah, it's been pretty quiet, even though they do exist.
Let me interject if I can on that, Kevin. The loans are supposed to go through what's called CDFIs that are supposed to be facilitators. Normally, those organizations provide guarantees for financial institutions, but the iBank has been particularly targeted to work through those. We're kind of in an oddity in that there is no CDFI that's been designated for Santa Clara County. I've been told just a couple of days ago there is one in Salinas, so I'm trying to identify who that is and see if they can cover the county. There's one that we'll work with some years ago is out of San Francisco. So we're reaching out to both of those to see which one, if any of them, can we utilize for services here in Santa Clara County. Apparently CDFIs tend to be very territorial, and it's not really clear today as to which one is covering Santa Clara County. But we're working on it because we're very determined, because a good number of the clients that we have don't qualify for the federal loans, and this would be very appropriate for them. So I'm hoping that we're going to have a concrete answer other than just giving the generic telephone number that nobody seems to answer. And hopefully we should have that within the next couple of working days.
And Dennis brings up a good point that people do need to understand, that not everybody's going to qualify for the IDLE loan or the PPP. If you do have credit problems, if there are issues with Social Security or employer identification numbers, you may not qualify for the federal loans, but some of the GoBiz and iBank loans are a way for you to access capital. And so that is an option. And that is one of the reasons, as Dennis mentioned, that we're very eager to try to get those on board.
Let's give one example to that, Kevin. I mean, a good number of people, for example, had loans when they were college students. If the students were current with all of the loans and didn't have a problem, great. But many times there are difficulties and they're not able to pay on schedule. SBA doesn't give out loans to those that have not yet paid off their student loans, or at least have not got a positive track record. The state of California, however, that's not a factor for them. So if there is a problem with student loans, that's not an issue for the state. And it's one of the reasons why I'm very interested in the iBank loans.
And once I have that information from Dennis and Kevin, I will make sure that it's on our website in the PowerPoint, and that whoever asked the question, we'll make sure that we have your contact information and send it to you directly.
Can
We can
you
also get them to sign up, Anthony, if that's of interest, that we can then work with them, on a day-by-day basis to help them get access to that funding.
Right. We will, if anyone wants to provide their information directly to SBDC for a business advisor to reach out, I'm going to give Trevor some more work. Please put your email in the chat, and we'll save the chat log, and we'll write down those emails and provide them to Kevin and Dennis to reach out to you.
Thank you.
Can an individual have a PPP loan, apply for unemployment, and a grant at the same time?
They can certainly have an IDLE loan and a PPP loan at the same time. It's not for the same exact need, however. So PPP loan is great for, dealing with payroll, but that's only good for about 8 weeks. IDLE doesn't have those deadlines. So yes, they could be both. It is a question of mix and match, and that's where we'd have to kind of deal with each individual case.
Well, and just in addition to that, there is a unemployment plan that allows you, once again, if you're a business, it doesn't work with the PPP because you don't, as far as qualifying for the grant, because you're not going to hit your numbers. But if you are a struggling business, you're only going to be able to bring employees back part-time. The state of California has a work share program where they can get unemployment for the hours that you're not providing. And that way your employees can have basically a full-time paid position, even though you're only able to give them part-time hours. So there are other programs other than PPP IDLE and iBank. There are a lot of resources, and those are the types of things that we're more than willing to walk you through when we work with you.
Is it true that employees may work part-time from home and still collect unemployment up to the $600 max per week? Wouldn't that help solve employers' dilemma when an employee refuses to work?
This is Allie. I think that's, Kevin did touch base on that. That's the work share program. And your employer would have to sign up for that.
And it also doesn't solve the problem if you need somebody to make food, because once again, if they're sitting at home collecting the money, it doesn't help you with the hands that you need inside the business. But yeah, Allie's absolutely correct in that.
If and when we are permitted to open and face masks are required for customers and staff, what should we do if a customer comes into our store without wearing one?
I'll go ahead and take that one. That's a tricky one. I would encourage them as greatly as possible that they do need to wear face masks inside of your business. I know that the county has released guidance for all employees in restaurants that need to wear face masks. And I believe all customers that come in need to wear face masks as well. It's an uncomfortable conversation, I'm sure, to be had with the customer, but politely remind them that they need to have a mask, not only for your safety and their safety, but also to make sure that these types of businesses can stay open once they are open. I think the biggest key to emphasize to people is that once we reopen, in whatever capacity that is, we'd like that to continue indefinitely. So the way to do that is to make sure that we abide by the guidelines and make sure that we continue to flatten the curve as best as possible and make sure that we get through this together.
I want to interject. There is ADA issues as well for people who cannot wear masks. So you have to be careful as an owner that if somebody says due to a disability or whatever, they can't wear a mask, you have to respect that. And you can't ask them what their disability is. Just like any other ADA, like if they have a service animal and they come in, you can't ask them what their disability is. So there is some guidance in Santa Clara County that includes that. So you kind of have to be careful. There are some people who can't wear a mask.
So for an employer that doesn't have any employees, so their payroll only consists of themselves, how do they file for a loan? I think it just says, how do I do that to have a paper trail? I don't know what specifically they're referring to though.
Kevin, do you have any, or
Yeah,
Alex?
so that once again that will work. You just have to be able to show that you have paid yourself in the back, because and once again, it depends on which one you're talking about. If you're talking about the IDLE, there's no need. I mean, once again, you get the loan. It's a 30-year loan, 3.75%. You don't really need. There's no granting to that loan. But if you're talking about the PPP, you're going to need to show that you've done that in the past. If you're just adding yourself to payroll now and you haven't had payroll in the past, the grant probably is not going to happen. But if you have paid yourself in the past, you get the PPP and you pay yourself currently, that's completely okay. And there are ways of demonstrating that.
So the rest of the questions are about specific business situations that they're asking for Anthony to reach out to them and help them with it. But that's it for the questions.
Awesome. If anyone has any last questions, please feel free to put them in the chat.
Oh, we have another one. Okay. I have a part-time job that's essential at Kaiser, under 20 hours, but the bulk of my income comes from being self-employed. I filed for unemployment, but was denied by EDD because I make more than $600. I can't apply for PUA because I'm in the system.
Is there, Kevin, Dennis, Allie, do you have any ideas for?
Well, one of the things, this is something that's coming up. One of we had an actual webinar yesterday. We have a lot of resources ourselves that we tap into, and a lot of what we're tapping into right now are a lot of the employment issues around stuff like this. It's as we all know, it's very complex, and so I don't know that we would be in a position to answer that correctly here, but we could definitely track down the best answer for that. Once again, best option would be to sign up for services and let's have a talk.
Yeah, and once again, if you do have specific questions like that for your particular business, please put your email in the chat or send me an email, and I will connect you with Kevin, Dennis, and Allie so we can get you the help from the SBDC.
Once everyone's reopened, what happens if a staff or a customer have been exposed to COVID-19?
So the county has released guidance for what businesses should do if a staff member is believed to have COVID-19. I would direct you to the FAQs in the business section from the county. They actually do a great job. I believe they have 30 plus questions, and one of them is specifically about if an employee is believed to have COVID-19. The first step is identifying if they've been in the business and then taking steps from there to make sure that you limit the impact not only to customers, but also to your other staff.
So this is a question specifically for Allie. We are a 501c6 and we're told we do not qualify for a PPP program grant. I am now hearing that 501c6s have been awarded. Should we go ahead and apply?
I haven't heard about PPP being awarded. I know that previously they had some 501c6s did apply for IDLE. From SBA's guidance, it's a case-by-case basis. The main thing for 501c6 is if they are involved in any lobbying, you automatically do not qualify. We do encourage people to apply, and Dennis might be able to jump in here. We don't tell you not to apply, but I can tell you that the majority of 501c6s do not qualify, but maybe Dennis has any information on this as well. Go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, Kevin and I are very active in the Chamber of Commerce Coalition, and that's the 13 city chambers and other ethnic chambers here in Santa Clara County. And that's a significant issue. We've been told that one of the reasons why they've been enthusiastic about the iBank loans is because they don't have that requirement. We just haven't figured out how to get access to that yet. But Allie's basic recommendation is the bottom line, and that is, if there's any doubt, apply. Don't rule yourself out. Apply. We do know of some chambers of commerce, all of which are 501c6s. Some of them have received it, some of them haven't. It's hard to understand the consistency to that. So I strongly recommend apply.
So that's it for the questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Trevor. I really appreciate it. I want to give a special thank you to all of our partners at the SBDC, Dennis, Kevin, and Allie, for taking the time to be with us today. We really appreciate it on behalf of the City of Los Altos, everything that you guys do. And I know that our business community will more than likely be contacting you now with more questions as they get them from the PowerPoint, because I think that there's probably a lot of questions popping into their mind about their business. So I'd like to thank you guys, and I'd like to thank all of our co-sponsors for having this event, as well as all of our participants. Once again, if you have any questions, please reach out to the SBDC. I'll go ahead and put a link to your guys' website again, svsbdc.org. And if you have any questions for the city, you probably know how to contact me, so please reach out to me. Thank you all for participating today.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony.
Los Altos.
Thank you.